Generic Art Dad made this video where he was saying the difference between him and MAGA folks is that he doesn't get excited or delight in the thought of people being eaten by alligators or being caught on razor wire. He doesn't delight in the idea of other people suffering. And like MAGA does, right? They're buying concentration camp merch. I had somebody in my Facebook comments. I rarely get on my Parkhurst Permaculture Facebook page anymore because Facebook is just this horrible Nazi alt-right hellscape, and there's no moderating that is done. It's just the most awful vitriolic content. Tons of far-right propaganda and mis and disinformation. So I hardly use it anymore. My Instagram posts just repost to Facebook. And I happened to get on because I needed to find some information about one of my mutuals, contact information. And I saw immediately there was a comment from a guy on one of my videos where I was stitching a creator who said that we're not mad enough yet. This was months ago. She's like, we're not angry enough yet. They are putting people in concentration camps. And I was duetting her video actually and agreeing with her, right? Back then, before we even knew that alligator Auschwitz was in the works, like they were already planning and carrying out, implementing an ethnic cleansing. And she was so frustrated because Americans seem to be having their head in the sand about it, apathetic, or like just blissfully unaware. And the people who do know, like, we're still going about our lives. Like, why are we all not in the streets? Why are we not having a general strike yet? Why are we not shutting down all of this shit? They have concentration camps in the United States. By the way, Geo Group is building yet another for-profit concentration camp in Baldwin, Wisconsin. They are planning on funneling immigrants from the Chicago metro area into the Bergen-Belsen of Wisconsin. So in the comment section of that video, there was a brand new comment. I got a notification as soon as I opened up Facebook. It was from a white man who, based on his profile picture, looked like he was older, Gen X. And he said, "Sounds like those illegal criminals are getting what they deserve," in reference to concentration camps being opened. And of course, we know that these folks aren't criminals, right? Being undocumented in the United States is not a crime. And we know that Stephen Miller has directed ICE since May to prioritize non-criminals. I mean, I really thought everybody knew by now that this regime had no intention of going after criminals. That's not where their interests lie at all. Their interests lie in committing an ethnic cleansing, and they are absolutely picking on our migrant farm workers, our construction workers, immigrants who are in this country, keeping their head down, raising their families, working, and paying taxes. But apparently, some Trumpers still believe the propaganda that all of these folks being rounded up are violent criminals, despite tons of evidence that it's like moms and their kids, that it's hardworking people who are being snatched out of the fields who have been here for decades, have no criminal history whatsoever. But even if these folks had committed crimes, they are being denied their due process rights. In fact, we heard the regime announce that their intention is to snatch up immigrants and deny them any bail whatsoever, to keep them confined all the way until they have their deportation hearing, which could be years, because it's a grift. The CoreCivics and Geo Group and other for-profit businesses that are running these concentration camps, they make billions of dollars. They are being paid billions of our taxpayer dollars to keep these folks kept inside these concentration camp facilities where they don't have adequate food or shelter or access to medical care, where their due process rights are being violated, their human rights are being violated. It is a giant fucking grift. These businesses are making tons of money on it. And also, again, let's say these folks had committed crimes and they had been convicted. They still have an 8th Amendment right to be protected from cruel and unusual punishment. What is happening in these concentration camps? I know I've seen other creators saying, well, this is cruel and unusual punishment, but it's not cruel and unusual punishment because there's no crime that's been committed. So these folks don't deserve to be punished. It's just cruel and unusual. It's just torture. It's just brutalizing these folks. It's simply a human rights violation, whether or not crimes have been committed, but it is especially heinous because these people have committed no crimes. There is no punishment that they deserve at all. And this brings me to the second part of Art Dad's video, because he said something I have been saying for years about MAGA, and I think it is worth reminding folks again of how we got here. I mean, I have a video pinned at the top of my TikTok that explains how we got here. I have a video pinned at the top of my backup TikTok account that explains how we got here. It's how we raise our children and how we were raised as kids if we have failed to deconstruct from the trauma of our childhood and we want to reinflict it. Hang on, let me just show you this little bit of a clip from what he said.
Lashing out at other people. But I also think it's this. I think that we all got punished as kids. I got soap in my mouth. I got spanked. Like, we all got punished. And when you punish people, you teach them that it's okay to hurt someone to try and get them to change their behavior in a way that you want. And if you, again, did not grow up and realize that that's bullshit, like it's fucked up, and you didn't learn empathy, like genuine empathy, what's happening right now is you have this cocktail where you're sad and you're disappointed because you're not happy with your station in life. You're not happy with yourself. Things are hard. Things are tough. And so you had to find someone to blame, and you were told that it was immigrants. So you're like, I don't want them coming here. So I want to punish them. I want to hurt them so bad that they don't want to come here. And that makes me genuinely happy to think about them being eaten by fucking alligators. I'm going to buy merch. I'm going to be loud about it. I'm not even going to be embarrassed. I'm going to celebrate elected officials joking about it.
Yeah, Generic Art Dad, you are absolutely correct in your assessment of why these folks are like this. It is always going to go back to the way we raise our children and the way we traumatize children, and traumatized children turn into adults who want to perpetuate the cycle of trauma. America has a giant problem with dehumanizing children, treating children as if they are objects, as if they are property of their parents, as if they are a conduit through which parents can vent their anger and rage and frustration, a conduit through which we can enact retribution, revenge on people we don't like, right? Classic tactic. I have seen it from people on the left in my comments repeatedly. MAGA will only learn their lesson when their children suffer. Oh, it's too bad that their kids are losing funding for school lunch. It's too bad that their kids are losing SNAP benefits and Medicaid, and their education is going to be completely dismantled. Too bad, but that's the only way MAGA will learn, is if we punish their children, right? Like, even folks on the left have not deconstructed from this idea that punishing children is a good thing, and punishing adults through their children is how we teach folks a lesson. Thinking that punishment works at all is one of the biggest fallacies that is pervasive in American society. Punishment does not work. And when you don't like somebody's behavior or you're mad at them, your emotions are really dysregulated. Whatever the reason is that you choose to punish somebody else, you're not teaching them anything other than somebody in power has a right to brutalize me. And if I get power, I have a right to brutalize other people. All you're doing is teaching kids that the way adults get their feelings out is by hurting other people. We have generations in this country who have been deeply indoctrinated with an evangelical belief that children deserve to be punished, that they are willful, they are sinful, and that you have to use the rod or your hand or some other form of physical torture, coercive control, to get children to break children's will and to get them to become obedient, compliant, listen unquestioningly to authority. All of that dynamic in this culture is incredibly toxic, and it creates adults who believe that they have a right to brutalize other people's bodies because they were taught their entire childhood that adults had a right to brutalize theirs. Not only is it legal for adults to hit their children in every single state in this country, in 16 states, it's legal for teachers and school administrators to hit those children as well. Children lack bodily autonomy, and I think that that very much reflects when they grow up and they believe that people like immigrants, people that they have been taught to scapegoat, don't deserve bodily autonomy either. And like, how many of us as kids knew that what was happening to us was not just, but we were told we had to accept it anyway. This is the way of the world. This is how adults exert power. This is how you control people, through coercive control, right? We knew as kids that what was being done to us was being done to get us to obey adults, to get us to do what adults wanted us to do, or to make us suffer when we did not go along with what adults wanted us to do, whether intentionally or unintentionally, because we were just little kids. And we were also taught that other people's bodies, especially the bodies of people who are vulnerable, who do not have any power, who do not have any control over their own lives, that those folks' bodies absolutely can be harmed. Their rights can be violated. Their freedom can be violated, right? We're not just talking physical punishment, but also, like, think of all the other punishments you got that were not just being paddled or, hit, that were about denying you freedoms and access, denying your own autonomy. That creates an expectation that, hey, the powerless, they deserve this to happen to them. Adults absolutely can vent their rage and their anger through powerless groups of people. And I really appreciated Generic Art Dad bringing this up, because if we don't deconstruct from that having happened to us, we will not only perpetuate it on our own children, but it will have devastating consequences for the entire culture. If we look at what happened in Germany in the 1930s and 40s, authoritarian parenting creates adults with authoritarian personalities. And we are watching that happen here in the US right now as well.